Hello everybody and welcome to the third part of my birthday special, let's call it. Normally I do a birthday marathon, for the last 2-3 or so years. I've put out a poll saying, what should I do for my birthday? Should I make a series of videos about my favourite music videos or the music videos that got me into heavy metal, etc. I've done that for the last few years. This year I failed to do so due to real life obligations and basically life getting in the way. I've not been uploading as much as I would regularly, because I look after my disabled mother and she had a fall recently, so I've had to spend a lot more time concentrating on attending to her, and it's sort of interrupted my regular flow of what I do. But I thought, in place of that, for my birthday, what I will do is I will look at the Money Game trilogy by Ren. Because when I looked at High Ren and subsequently the Tale of Jenny and Screech... Jenny and Screech? For some reason I keep getting the name of that song wrong. I don't know why. But anyway, when I looked at the first two Ren songs that I checked out, I was overwhelmingly met with the response that I should check out the Money Game trilogy. And I was more specifically told that I should check them out individually. So I thought, it's my birthday. Normally I do something special for my birthday. I hadn't had anything arranged, so I thought, why not do that? So I decided over the course of 3 days I'm going to look at the 3 individual songs from the Money Game trilogy. Now, on my birthday I looked at Money Game 1. Yesterday I looked at Money Game 2. So obviously today comes Money Game 3. And this one is, very specifically, this track is one that I was told had to be checked out by itself. Not without the other two combined into it. Now, the first 2 tracks were very much pointed at corrupt politicians and, these 1%ers who think that because they've got money, they have power over everybody below them. That they think that they can do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want. And that was basically the gist of the 2 videos, the 2 songs. And, I agreed with quite a lot of the points that he made in them. And the unusual thing was, when we looked at Money Game 2, it was a lyric video. And it was pointed out to me, when I checked out the first video, when I checked out High Ren, I was actually told off for the fact that the way I normally do my videos, I'll have the lyrics to one side and I'll have the video playing here. And throughout watching High Ren, I was looking between the lyrics and the video, and I was told off for that because there's a lot of nuance within Ren's videos. It sort of adds to the story, and I missed out on a bit of that when I looked at High Ren. So when I looked at the Tale of Jenny and Screech, I made sure to focus entirely on the video. When I did Money Game Part 1, I made sure to pay full attention to the video. But then came Money Game 2, and it was a lyric video. It didn't actually have its own sort of standalone video, if you will. It didn't have Ren himself on screen doing what he does. It was a lyric video which had like news clippings and game show clippings in the background, but it was still very cleverly done in the way that the clips still added to what he was saying. It was different, but it still worked very cleverly. Now with this one, I don't know. I'm guessing we're probably going back to videos featuring Ren himself. In the first video of the Money Game, it was just him and a guitar for music. There was another person on camera with him at the time, who was like bound to a chair, sort of representing the lower classes, the people at risk sort of thing, and he was sort of lording over this person as like the people with power. Like I said in the second video, it was just music clips. So what this third one is, I don't know. I have lyrics here. I've been sure not to actually check them out, not to read them before going into this video, so I have no preconceived notion of what the song is about. But judging by the first 2, like I said, they're about like corrupt politicians, people thinking that because they've got money they can do whatever the fuck they want. So I can only assume it will probably follow the same pattern, but I could be wrong. So we'll jump into this video and see what we've got. But before we do that, if you could just take a moment to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Because I've been doing this for about 7 years, close to 7 years now, maybe 7 years to the day by now, because I first started doing this, I think in 2018, maybe 2019, just a couple of days after my birthday. So, it's probably about 7 years by now. And, not even 3% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. I've got close to 900 videos. I've put a lot of time and effort into doing this, but, people just aren't subscribing and watching my videos. So, it's a little bit heartbreaking because I put a lot of time and effort in. But anyway, if you could take a moment to like and subscribe, it doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second, but it does make the biggest difference to me and the channel. But with that being said, let's jump into this video and see what we've got. So this is Money Game Part 3 by Ren. Let's have a look.
Tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns the truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then a lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, and his daddy tells him, listen here son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, His daddy says you're losing the race, you're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval, moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba. 32, moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket. 35, he gets a call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack, I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed up, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion, heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebra and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck. Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41, he wasn't walking. 42, not walking quickly. 43, never running round the pavements of his city. 44, inside a palace with a mountain of gold. But those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck for money and fame. Cut the music. This isn't entertainment, this is real life. The way we live is lunacy, community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention, politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention, law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution? Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me, then there's no future I see where the humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface then consumes till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise. "45, Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
Damn. Now, that's actually quite different to the first two, but god damn is that powerful. I mean, that is quite a story that he's painted there. You know, he's gone all the way from age 1 all the way up to the age of 45. The path of this person who's like naturally born, like everybody's born as an innocent child. But he's basically taught by his father, essentially, to be this ruthless, vindictive person just to get what he wants. And then it comes towards the end of it, after his father dies, he comes to this realization of what mistakes he's made, and the realization that everything he's done is not necessarily wrong, but you know, the amount of bridges he's burned, the amount of people he's hurt, he sort of seems to have come to this he's come to this realization, should I say, that after everything he's done, what has it got him? Essentially, a pile of money and absolutely loneliness. You know, so the way he's performed this, I really like it, because musically, you know, he starts off with that amazing piano. If that was him playing the piano, and I'm pretty sure it was, that was amazing. You know, I always wanted to learn the piano, but my brain just couldn't handle it at the time when I was at school. You know, it was very cool. It sounded amazing. Then that other person came in and like sort of kicked him off the piano. And this is one of the things I like about Ren's music, because he's done it in a couple of his videos. There will be moments of complete silence when all you can hear is him breathing. But it keeps you so engaged because you want to know what's happening. You know, there's, for years and years and years, for decades, for centuries even, there have been these things in music which a lot of people who work in radio refer to as DJ's nightmares. And that's where the music suddenly stops and it goes silent for a minute. And then the music carries on. And, you know, they've been around for ages. But normally it's like the music stops and then carries on. You know, it only stops for a couple of beats. But with Ren, I'm not sure he'd be doing it in the actual, like if there was an album version or an MP3 version or whatever. I don't know if the pauses would be that long. But in these videos, you know, he's doing these sort of, he's like putting out all these lyrics, putting out these rhymes, whatever. And then he'll stop. There'll be absolute silence for a good, 25, 30 seconds whilst he's just doing something on the camera. And all you can hear is his breathing or whatever he's doing, like loading a gun as he did at the end of that video. And then he'll carry on. And he's done that at least 3 times in that video alone. But it's brilliant because it just keeps you engaged, because you're like, what's he going to do next? It's brilliant. The guy is, I've said this every time I've listened to him, the guy is a genius. He is brilliant. The way he writes his lyrics, the way he performs, the actual videos itself. There are certain aspects of this that I was curious about. Because like at the beginning when he gets kicked off that piano, he walks up to the mirror and sort of like notices this sack over his face and decides, and you know, takes it off. Now, could that be a sort of representation of, you know, deciding not to be that anonymous person anymore? Not just, I don't want to be a nobody, an anonymous face in the crowd. You know, I'm actually going to stand up. I want to be heard. Could that be what that is? You know, it's like, I'm not going to just be the downtrodden. I'm going to make sure something happens. I don't know. I could be reading too much into that, but it's like, I don't want to be an unknown quantity anymore. You know, is that what that is? I don't know. But every single time I listen to this guy, he amazes me. He's brilliant, just pure brilliant. And like the first one of the Money Game, this was quite minimalistic musically, because it had the piano, it had a little build up in music at some point. Then of course it went silent, and then he brought in the quartet, the string quartet, and oh my! As you can obviously tell, I'm learning to play violin. I love the sound of violins, cellos, bass. I love the sound of string instruments, and just hearing him performing his vocal style, his vocal performance over that orchestra, absolutely brilliant. It sounded great, and the sound of the actual strings was just beautiful. I really like stringed instruments. Anyway, so this whole thing is just brilliant. But like I say, it's quite different from the first two songs. The first two songs were about like the corruption of politicians, and this seems to be telling the story of someone who becomes one of those people. And there's quite a bit to go through. So it goes, let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old, and his first words were mine, gimme. So he's already, at age 1, he's already developing this sort of, but children often mimic the first words they hear, So he's obviously heard mine, gimme, possibly from his dad, who is heavily involved in this story. So his first words were mine, gimme. So he's already been witnessed to and has been brought up in this sort of selfish environment of, I want it, give it to me now. And, this is obviously a learned behaviour from the parents. 2 years old, he was walking. 3 years old, walking quickly. 4 years old, he was running around the pavements of this city. So, he had a bit of a childhood, 5 years old, and his daddy told him, listen here, son, you got to learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. Now, there's something here that I don't know, because it's like 5 years old, and his dad tells him, you got to learn to be a man, you got to get what you want. And the kid's name is Jimmy, which is generally another way of saying James. Now, James 5 from the Bible is a warning to the rich and powerful, the sort of oppressive, these people that think that because they've got money, they've got power. James chapter 5 in the Bible is a warning to rich oppressors and the misery that they will cause, and the misery that will eventually befall them if they carry on that way. Sort of like the misery that befell Ebenezer Scrooge, if you will. All his life he was greedy, using his power and his influence and his money to belittle people, to talk down to them, to lord over them. And eventually he became witness to all the misery he was causing. And, James 5 in the Bible is pretty much a similar sort of thing. It's like, you might have power, you might have money, but eventually it's all going to come crumbling down around you. So I don't know whether that was done on purpose, the fact that the kid is called Jimmy, which is another way of saying James, and it's at 5 years old he's been told this very thing. Who knows? Anyway, 6 years old, he's reading and writing, top of the bunch, so he's being, after that pep talk from his dad saying, you've got to be a man, you've got to work for what you want, he's now putting in a lot of effort in school, top of his class in reading, writing, etc. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. So, he's doing that thing where he's sort of climbing the ladder, if you will, like in school, he's trying to be the best person. He wants to be better than everybody else. And this is how he's going to progress in life. He wants to be better than everybody else ever. 8 years old, and he's praised for his unusual grades, so obviously he's getting exceptional scores in like exams and stuff like that. His parents pay for private school to nurture the flame, so he's obviously got a rich mummy and daddy, so he's a spoilt little rich kid. And daddy saying, if you want to get what you want, you've got to do anything and everything that it takes. So they send him into private school. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means means to all ends. So he's being taught that money is all important. He's being told that no matter what you do, you need money. You need lots of money. You better make lots of money, because that is the most important thing. 14, solving complex mathematic equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. So, you know, he's legitimately an intelligent child. 17, he sells his vision, keeping a share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. So, you know, he's a millionaire by the age of 17. And his daddy tells him, now you're a man, the world won't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. So, like, his dad's already told him, like, money is everything. And now he's saying, you know, now you're a man, the world's not going to do things for you, so you've got to take everything. You've got to take. You know, it seems like it's almost saying, like, no matter what it takes, you take whatever you want. No matter who gets hurt, no matter who gets, like, broken in the process, just take what you can. 19, he turns a profit stocks and shares invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. So, like, he's putting money into the stock markets and shares, and he's succeeding quite rapidly. 22, he learns that truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then a lie will sell itself. As is very apparent with a lot of the rich and, you know, powerful these days, you know, billionaires, certain political figures, you know, they will lie and manipulate the truth to best suit them, and they will basically make everybody believe their lies to serve themselves. So he's saying, you know, the truth just gets in the way. So if you tell the truth, people are going to go, whoa, you can't be doing that. But if you lie and then you carry on doing it, they'll be like, oh, it's all right. He's told us what he's doing. It's fine. You know. Anyway, where was I going? 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. He made the Forbes list, they're applauding his... 24, he made the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, his daddy tells him, listen here, son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean you've won. So, 23, life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. I think I mentioned this in the second one, I think, where, you know, there's a point when people acquire and accumulate so much wealth, they don't know what to do with it. So they end up, like, doing ridiculous things with it. You know, they end up spending it on drugs just because it's something to spend money on. They end up, like, spending money on hookers and cocaine and shit like that, you know, and that's what it's saying here, you know, 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. So he's got so rich, he's living in a lap of luxury, he's got so much money, he doesn't know what to do with it, so he started buying drugs like crystal meth and cocaine. 24, the Forbes list, obviously that's the list of the richest people in the world, they're applauding his name. 25, his daddy tells him, listen here, son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean you've won. So it's like, you might be doing well for yourself, son, but you could always be doing better. Don't slack off now. You might be a millionaire, you might even be a billionaire, but there's more to be had. He's basically teaching his son to be greedy. 26, a business shift. He switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy says, you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. So again, his dad is saying, look, you might be doing well, but you're not doing well enough, you know. It says that 26, a business shift, he's moved to selling arms. He's basically turned into an arms dealer, selling nuclear weapons and, like, munitions in Iran. You know. So he's he's slipping down a very evil slope now. You know, to begin with, he might have just been doing normal businesses. That's fine. But now that, you know, that's not enough for him, he's moving into more illicit and illegal practices. Inside the Senate, money bought him a seat, so essentially, you know, it's almost like nepotism at this point. You know, he's got so much money that he can buy his way into a place of power. 29, a role in the president's suite again. And now he's 30. Daddy says, you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. So again, it's his dad saying, you're doing well, but you're not doing well enough. You could be the king, and at the moment, you're just subservient to him. You need to beat this guy. You need to push harder. You know, even though he has achieved so much already, his dad's pushing him to be better, to have more and more and more. Oh, that was weird. Everything just flickered and... Anyway. 31, a big manoeuvre for his daddy's approval, moving imports over borders and exports out of Cuba. Moving grams, growing kilos to tons. At 33, he's filling warehouses with powder and guns. So, he's gone from selling arms and munitions. Now he's smuggling drugs out of Cuba. You know, filling warehouses with powder and guns. So he's still dealing in the munitions, but he's also, you know, smuggling drugs as well. 34, a turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the popo inside his pocket. 35, he gets a call. I'm sorry, son, but your father's had a heart attack. I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed up, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion, heating up a silver spoon and chasing the dragon. So he's gone from, you know, he's filling up warehouses with drugs and guns and everything like that. Turf war with nobody to stop it, you know, so he's encroaching on other people's turf, etc. But nobody's going to stop it because he's bought off the police, you know. Blind eye from the popo inside his pocket. So basically he's paid off the police, you know, saying, like, if my name gets mentioned, just look the other way. Don't worry about it. No, you'll be well paid for ignoring it. 35, he gets a call saying his father's died of a heart attack. So he goes out, by the time he's 36, he's getting drunk, he's abusing his product, so he's basically using the drugs that he's smuggling to an excessive amount. It says eyes glazed, disposition demonic, so he's slowly going out of his mind by abusing alcohol and drugs. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion, heating up a silver spoon and chasing the dragon. So talking about heroin there, I think that's what chasing the dragon is. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power, daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy is flawed. They retaliate in leaving in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebrae and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. So, by the age of 39, he's getting reckless, you know, possibly completely addled from his abuse of drugs and alcohol. You know, he's hungry for power, he wants to expand, he wants more. You know, he says daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. So, you know, he's still got the voice of his father in the back of his head saying, no, you might be doing well, but you can be doing more. You know, you might have a lot now, but you can get more. You know, forever pushing him onwards to claim more and more and more for, you know, the greed of these rich and powerful people. So he makes a move against the cartel, but it's not very well planned out, and he ends up getting shot. You know, he ends up with a bullet in his spine, one in his leg, and the doctor says, you'll not be walking again. So he's confined to a wheelchair. So, and this is another one of those moments where it just goes silent as he's sort of wheeled around in his wheelchair, and then he sat in front of the four-piece. And then it goes back to, let me tell you about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41, he wasn't walking. 42, not walking quickly. 43, never running around the pavements of this city. So this is sort of mirroring the opening lines, when it said, when he was 1 year old, his first words were mine, mine, mine. Now he's 40. He's cursing those words. He's cursing the idea of greed and selfishness being his motivation in life. 41, he wasn't walking. 42, not walking quickly. So obviously with the bullet in his spine and his leg, the doctor said he'll never walk again. Never running around the pavements of this city. So, he can't ever do like he did in his childhood and just run freely because he's now confined to a wheelchair. 44, inside a palace with a mountain of gold, but those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold, Lamborghini for life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is an exaggerated version of me, and it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and the fame. Cut the music. And then, all the music just stopped. But, he's saying there, he's living inside his big mansion, his palace, surrounded by all his riches. And it says, but the riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. So, he's got all his riches, he's got all his wealth surrounding him, but he's sitting there in a wheelchair in this big mansion, and none of it means anything. He's accumulated all this money, he's accumulated all this power, but he's burnt so many bridges, he's destroyed so many lives and so many friendships. He's probably got no friends left, so he's sitting there all by himself in this big mansion surrounded by all his money, and he's got nothing really, because what are physical possessions? They're nothing. You can't take it with you. What you want in life is friends. You want people around you. You want companionship, that sort of thing. Money and stuff mean nothing. And he's sitting there going, weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for life, trading money for souls. So it's all very well having your big posh car and all that money, trading money for souls. So, he's sacrificed people, maybe not literally, but, he's destroyed people's lives for the sake of his own gain. And now he's sort of sitting there going, the fuck have I done? I've destroyed so many people's lives. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free, because, the land of the free, etc. It's like, you can be anything you want to be. You can have anything that you want, as long as you. It says, his example is an exaggerated version of me, because... it says an exaggerated version of me, and it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. So it's like, essentially, we all want to be successful, and we all want to be able to not have to worry financially. So essentially we want the similar sort of thing to what Jimmy here has. We want to have money. We want to have to not worry about paying bills. We don't want to have to worry about where our next meal is coming from. We all want that sort of thing. To some extent, money has that grip on us. We all want money. It's just some people are so addicted to it, they go to excessive amounts. And he's saying, this is an exaggerated version of what we all want. We all want to be successful. We all want to have the money to be able to survive and not have to worry. He says, the way we live is parasitic, which is essentially true, because everything we do affects somebody else. The way we live our lives always affects someone else. We might get popular, we might get successful, but our success will directly impact someone else. And sometimes it will be negatively. In fact, probably a lot of times it will be negative, because you might get an incredible job, and the thing is, somebody else might have been going for that same job. So whilst you've taken that job, that person no longer has access to that job. So they're having to either downscale, or they may be struggling to get or find another job. So whilst you've succeeded, someone else is now struggling. So fuck the money and fuck the fame, cut the music. So he's basically saying, just fuck it all. And then he goes into a spoken part, and he's done this before in one of his other videos. In fact, it was at the end of High Ren, I think. He goes, "This isn't entertainment, this is real life. We may live, the way we live is lunacy, community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we design. Money is an invention, politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas, did I mention? Borders an invention, law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution? Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains." Now, I'm just going to talk about that bit there, because he's saying this isn't entertainment, this is real life. So he's talking real life, he's talking actual facts here. This is stuff that really happens in the world. This isn't just some story he's made up. Whilst it might be a story that he's made up, this sort of thing still really happens. And the way we live it's crazy, it's insane. I mean, for God's sake, people have to pay money for a natural resource. People have to pay money for water. It's a natural resource. I mean, yes, there is cleaning processes and whatnot that go around, but still, it is a natural resource, and somehow someone managed to make sure that we paid them for it as if it was theirs. Natural gases from the earth, we pay for it. It's insane. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. There seems to be this constant conflict, and it seems to be fed and stoked by these people with money and power. They want to see us fight against each other, whilst we ignore what they're doing. They're doing it to distract us from the bullshit that they're pulling. Money's an invention, which it is. And politics is also something that we invented. Because basically it was supposed to be, if something needed to be done, people needed to decide how best to do it. And so they elected one person to put this forward to the others. And, it was supposed to be working in the interest of people, but that's not how it works anymore. The whole idea of politics and parliament is supposed to be, listen to what the people are saying, then put it out to everybody else, and we can achieve that goal. But not anymore. It's, I'm the person in charge, let's do what I want to do so I can benefit me, fuck what the people want. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention borders an invention? Which they are. It's like, this invisible line here, you're not allowed to cross it. If you do, you're invading my land. It's an invisible fucking line. It is not real. A border between a country is just that. It's a made up thing. And it leads to people killing each other, which it does. My solution, everything is subject to change. And this line, I love it. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. Exactly. If we would all just stop bitching and fucking poking at each other, if we all just fucking worked together and actually did what was best for the collective good, it would be brilliant. Instead of all this infighting, instead of saying, I don't like what he's doing, I don't like what he's doing, if we all just sort of came together and came to an equal decision, everything would be so much better. Because we all want the same thing. We all want to make the earth a better place to live. Well, most people do. So it would be beneficial to do this. But you will always get some arsehole who is going to go against what everybody else wants just to be that person. You'll always get that one. You know, it's like these absolute morons who outright refuse to move on from oil and coal, despite how much damage they do to the earth. It's like, for some reason, they're so staunchly set against it. And I can't figure out why. It's like we're trying to make the air cleaner so you'll live longer. We're trying to remove all the carcinogens from the air so you won't get cancer, so you won't die, so you'll live longer. We're trying to clean up the planet so the planet will live longer, and thus we will live longer. We're trying to make it better for our children. Do you not care if your children have a nice place to live? And they're like, nope, we want oil and coal, burn the fucking lot of it. Why? What is wrong with you? You know, you'll always get that. Yeah. Anyway. It says here, but if we teach kids in school to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd, there's more money for me. Then there's no future I see where humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface when it can then consume till it dies, and our fate could be the same without the story to the wise. So, but if we teach kids in school to always be sheep, so again, you know, you're always taught to follow the herd, to fit in. And I was one of those people that absolutely refused to do it. It's like, I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing just because everybody else is doing it. I'm going to do what I want to do because it's the way I want to live my life. I want to be essentially free. You know, these people that act like sheep are like, oh, my best friend's got an iPhone, I must get an iPhone. Oh, he's got new Nike shoes. I need new Nike shoes. I need the same ones because that'll make me cool. You know. There's no individuality in that. You know, you're not living, you're just existing. You know, putting themselves before the herd. If there's more money for me, so again, it's like I will do whatever it takes to make more money for me, even if it means like sacrificing all of the people around me, you know, even if it means sacrificing my friends, my family, whoever, as long as it makes me more money, I don't care. And guys, then I see there's no future where humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Again, like parasites, you know, basically leeching off everybody else and with cannibal minds. So we will devour anyone that gets in our way, essentially. Mold will grow up on the surface and then consume it till it dies. So the whole thing is just rotting away because this whole life, the whole thing is just disgusting, and, you know, it's going to crumble and die. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise. Then it goes to the outro. 45, Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants. He has fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45, a fitting number because his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game. So, at the age of 45, still in his wheelchair, comes home, soaking wet out of the rain. He's drunk off his trolley, you know. He's got everything he wants. He's got fortune, he's got fame. But he's missing that fundamental thing, you know, a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. So he was fortunate because he managed to achieve so much. He got all his fame, he got all his wealth, he got all his power. But an unfortunate fate in the fact that, you know, he's now crippled in a wheelchair. Apparently no friends around him because it never actually mentions anybody else in his life. You know, an unfortunate fate. So he ends up putting a gun to his head and going, you know, because... you know, he hears his father's words, it's such a damn shame. You know, because apparently he still has the voice of his father in the back of his head telling him, you need more. And he's just going, look, I cannot do this shit anymore. You know, I might have all of this material wealth, but I have no I have nothing else. You know, I have no love in my life. I have no companionship. I've got no friends. You know, I might be rich in material wealth, but I'm absolutely bankrupt emotionally. And, you know, it's all getting too much for him. So he's gone like, I've had enough. I cannot do this anymore. And just decides to punch his own ticket. So it's actually quite powerful and quite a sad track, you know, because this child was taught from the moment it was born to be selfish and ruthless, and that's all he's ever known, you know. And his father constantly pushed him to be more selfish and more ruthless, and eventually he's sort of come to this point in his life, you know. He's now injured, you know, he's now paralyzed, he's in a wheelchair, and whilst he's got all of the money and the fame and like the mansions and whatever, he's got nothing else, you know. And that's just no way to live a life, you know, because it's all very well having all that money, but, you know, you can't take it with you. And if you've got no friends or, you know, anything else, what is the point? So, you know, it's quite a powerful and quite a tragic story. But I like it, and it was quite a step away from the first two, because like I said, the first two were about like corrupt politicians and the 1%ers who think having all that money gives them power. And this is a sort of shift of perspective, and it's like still talking about the same sort of thing, but from the perspective of one of those people. So it's interesting and, you know, very, very powerful. And again, I love the performance of it. Like I said, you know, there's those moments where there's the music, then there's those moments of absolute silence, then there's the string quartet. Oh, I love the string quartet. But, you know, this was a very different performance to anything else I've heard before, because it has the things like the piano and the string quartet. You know, everything I've heard so far has had him with an acoustic guitar. I think pretty much everything I've heard up until this song has had him and an acoustic guitar, and occasionally it's had like drums and keyboards. So this was something quite different. And, you know, the video itself was also powerful, because you could see him, you know, he was acting out the different stages of life, and, you know, the way there was like that child on the floor and he was getting right in the kid's face, and, you know, that's sort of mimicking the way his father was. It was like a violent, aggressive man telling him that what you're doing is not enough, you need to do more, you need to do more, you need to be more aggressive, you know. So he very cleverly and very brilliantly illustrated the actual path of this person through his life. Brilliant. You know, I say it every time I look at his music. This guy is a genius. He is just pure brilliance. And I've had several other Ren songs suggested to me, which I'm going to get to eventually. But like I said, this normally for my birthday, I normally do a series of 14 videos, but due to real life commitments and stuff like that, I haven't had the chance to do that. So I thought I would do the 3 Money Game tracks, because I was told to check them out, or I was asked, sorry, to check them out, but I was also told, if you do check them out, do them individually. So I thought, you know, instead of doing a 14 song marathon like I normally do, I'll just do a 3 song special, as it were, over 3 days. So yeah, so there we go, the Money Game trilogy. That is well and truly wrapped up. Like I say, I've got several other Ren songs on my list of suggestions, so you can guarantee there will be more Ren to come. But yeah, quite a song, quite a powerful trilogy, and, you know, very deep, very meaningful, and like I say, very pointed, and actually a very, very angry few songs, you know, because you can see where he's coming from, you know, the greed and the pain that these people cause just for the sake of making themselves and their friends rich, and no matter who they break and hurt on the way, you know, as long as they end up on the top end of it, they don't care. So yeah, oh yeah, excuse me. So yes, incredibly powerful and brilliant. I like it. There may be parts that I've missed, and if I have, please tell me about it. I might be completely wrong in my interpretation of what I've read, so again, please do let me know. But yeah, a brilliant piece of music, and I don't know what else I can say on it, so I will leave that as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it a like or a subscribe if you haven't already. It would really, really mean a lot to me, you know. I've been doing this for almost 7 years now, and not even 3% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed, which is a little disheartening, because I like to think I do something different than most other reactors. Most reactors will look at a piece of music, go, yeah, I like it, no I didn't, and they'll leave it at that. I like to talk and discuss about what the song itself is about, and very few, if any, other reactors actually do that. They will just literally go, I like it, no I didn't, and move on. I want to discuss what the song is about, what the themes are, what does it mean to you, what does it mean to me. I want to have that conversation about what a song means to someone. How are they interpreting it? What does the song mean to you? How are you interpreting it? Are you interpreting it the same way that I am? I want to have that conversation, because there's this common misconception about things like heavy metal, that it's all about violence, murder, death, Satan and sacrifice, and that's quite simply not true. In fact, for the most part, most metal songs are about real world issues such as corrupt politicians, or homeless veterans, or domestic abuse, or mental health issues. But so many people just hear the sound of heavy metal music and just go, nope, that's about violence and murder. They don't take the time to actually investigate and learn what the song is about. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to have that conversation. I want to dispel this myth that heavy metal is all about murder and violence and anger. So, that's why I do what I do. So, if you could like and subscribe, it would really mean the world to me. It takes a fraction of a second. It doesn't cost you a single thing, but it does make the biggest difference to me and the channel. But yeah, that's about all I've got for you for this video. Thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city, 44 inside a palace with a mountain of gold, but those